All right, welcome back to Daybreak on Citizen TV. The president is borrowing for development, but some people are waiting to steal that money. That's a view, you don't leave your name. Kenya is indeed a borrowing nation, and I always wonder why we do it. Yet we are very resourceful. That's Nixon Mburu wa Ndugire kutoka Kindaruma. Now, we know that in the 2019-2020 budget policy statement that Senator Kajwang referred to briefly, the external borrowing is expected to go up to 321.5 billion shillings. And that is a brief from the external world. Domestic borrowing will go up to 310 billion shillings. That's about 631 billion shillings in borrowing. Last year we had a domestic borrowing of 267 billion shillings, so there's an increase of about 43 billion shillings. But the deficit, according to the National Treasury, has dropped to 572 billion shillings. But unfortunately, there are some loans that are due they're maturing this year. For the Eurobond that was taken in 2014, we need to pay out 76 billion shillings. So when you read these figures, of course, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury will appear before Parliament the 2nd week of June and will elaborate all these matters. But then again, people keep questioning, raising the questions, what is the voice of the National Assembly? Because we've had this budget policy statement since towards the end of last year, and by the time the Cabinet Secretary is reading this, we'll have interacted with these figures. But there are views that we want addressed. Is it just a rubber stamping process?
Not necessarily. Parliament has to work closely with the National Treasury to balance between the revenue collection and the expenditure. This expenditure is almost cast in stone. You know, we have salaries to pay, we have vehicles to fuel, we have constitutional bodies that by the constitution must be funded. And really, the whole debate is just about development. For the current issues, really there's no debate. Because you know, there are people who have to be given salaries, there are certain operations that must be funded. So the debate really, when it comes to the departmental committees, is about development and saying, okay, this is a project of priority, this is not. But over and above, it's really confirming to what Treasury brings to Parliament.
Wow. You
know, because really, when it comes, is that you find that even as we are saying we don't want to borrow, all of us under pressure from our constituents to bring development. People in my constituents want roads, they want water, they want electricity.
So can I just...
It's a very difficult balancing act. You know, here we are saying we don't want to borrow. At the same time, the people of this country want certain things to be done in their constituencies, in their counties. Like the county governments have a certain share of revenue that they must get, you know, is cast in stone. Right. And you must give it to the governors. So you find that as it is, this borrowing will be part of us. So as long as we want development, as long as the current expenditure surpasses development expenditure, as long as the wage bill remains high, as long as operational expenses remain high, you find that what the Senator has explained, what we are collecting from KRI will never be sufficient. Right. We must top it up by borrowing externally.
All right, Senator Ledamole, can I have the final word? Are we just stuck?
I think the caller actually had a good point. What we really require in this country is good governance. And for us to be able to achieve good governance, there are three very important principles that we must be able to maintain. Number one is that we must have good policies in public debt management. Number two, we must also build PFM capabilities, you know, public finance management capabilities. Number three, our fiscal and budget policies must be aligned to good governance, which is a process of making these policies, and also by how do we implement them. Our biggest problem is this. Like right now we have CRA, Commission of Revenue Allocation. They come up, they recommend. Once they recommend, Treasury, you know, they start having a fight with Treasury. The President has been talking about, let this institution carry out their tasks, their mandate. So the biggest problem we have is that, like now you will see the control of budget. People don't understand the role of the control of budget. They don't understand the role of the control of the CRA. You will find that we, the politicians, are the ones who are out there saying, no, that formula is not good. You know, yet those are the experts that we have given that mandate to be able to go out there. If you look at now the CRA second generation formula in terms of how do you functions, when you look at what they have allocated in terms of development, is only about, it's 26%. But then there's another 4% which you will get it based on two things. One is your fiscal responsibility. If you look at a county like Lamu last financial year, they got about 1 billion shillings just because of raising 20 million shillings. You know, yet a county like Narok that raised over maybe 3 billion did not get that. So what we really need to do, good governance will only come with proper discipline. We are not disciplined as a nation. You know, all our governance is not disciplined.
All right, Senator, let me not allow you to do that because we need to focus on our last topic before we run out of time, and that is on the politics of the country and what was happening over the weekend. We had certain voices championing for the deputy president and others championing against him. So let's listen into what those championing for deputy president William Ruto had to say somewhere in Kiambu.
Hivi kuna watu wengi wanasema Uhuru Kenyatta ni mtu mzuri. Si ni kweli? Lakini hapo nyuma walikuwa wanasema Uhuru Kenyatta afungwe hii. Hapo nyuma walikuwa wanasema hafai. Lakini siku hizi wameokoka. Ama ni aje? Na kwa sababu wameokoka juzi, wakuje pole pole.
We cannot understand how we are encouraging handshake on our side when other people are preaching disunity, when other people are calling people names.
Jeshi la Uhuru Kenyatta na William Ruto liko tayari. Kama wanataka kuleta impeachment ya huyu naibu wa rais, wajipange vizuri.
Na wabunge wa Jubilee ambao wameenda retreat, tunawaambia ukweli. Muende Naivasha, sisi tuko mashinani Kiambaa constituency. Kura ziko na raia.
Hatutatoka kwa barabara ya maendeleo na kuunganisha wa Kenya. Hata hawa wengine wote wapige makelele.
Okay, hatutatoka barabara ya kuunganisha wa Kenya, but there was a response from another section of some of them Jubilee MPs, some of them from ODM, but still in central Kenya, in Gatanga.
Kuna wachache sana kati yetu ambao kazi yao ni kujaribu kupiga handshake. Kwa sababu handshake ilimsaidia Uhuru Kenyatta kupigana na upinzani.
Corruption is not a community. Corruption is an individual.
Kama salamu za Uhuru na Raila itakuhujumu wewe na uwizi wako na isaidia wa Kenya kukaa pamoja na biashara na uchumi hinawiri, then sisi tutasema hallelujah.
There have been vampires and locusts who have visited our land. This is the hour. We are giving the president an ultimatum to ask the DPP and the DCI to arrest, to take it to court, and to recover the stolen wealth, no matter who has stolen.
Wale wengine wakishikwa wanasema mtu yao community yao ndio imeshikwa.
Tumekuja hapa kusisitiza kwamba we are behind the fight against corruption na tuko nyuma ya Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta.
Mepeleka Deputy Chief Justice. Si yako kotini? Kwani hata kama wewe ni Deputy President, shida iko wapi kupeleka wewe? Si hata yeye tutapeleka.
Sasa wamesema hii handshake ni ya 2022. Na Rais Uhuru Kenyatta anawaambia handshake si ya 2022, ni ya kuunganisha wa Kenya.
Na mtu akishikwa na corruption, usiende kuanza kusema community yako ama kabila yako. Kama ODM, every option that can help the people of Kenya to separate William Ruto from public resources will be employed. Kama ni impeachment, sawa sawa. Kama ni resignation, sawa sawa.
Raila heshimiwe. Raila heshimiwe. Kwa hivyo na want Sudi Murkomen.
Well, I don't know what he said after that, but I mean, I will not even ask you a question. What do you think?
I think it's absolutely ludicrous. We ought to be focusing on what is important. And the most important thing is that we all know that this handshake brought in stability in this economy. You know, ask any businessman. He will tell you that before the handshake, I was not making any money. There is a farmer in Kiminini who I bought cows from. He was selling milk at 52 shillings. During the period of resist, it went down to 23 shillings. Number one, after that, he started getting back his money. Those are things that are affecting the common mananchi. Number two, the issue of corruption is something which we must allow institutions to be able to deal with. I saw a proposal by a good friend of mine, Nyonyondiri, who I wondered whether he reads the Constitution or not. How do you direct? The Constitution is very clear. Article 157 gives the power to the DPP. You know, those are powers that you cannot take away from the DPP. So when you come up with a proposal which is not even sound in law, I wonder even why the National Assembly Speaker would allow such a proposal to be able to proceed. So I think we have to separate fact from fiction. What is happening is this, and I'm so sad to see young, brilliant minds following into the trap of being sycophants. You cannot allow young brains, who this country depends on, to continue with this narrative of trying to fight against corruption. You cannot, you know, and we expect. And sometimes maybe their path is oiled for them to be able to speak that way, but we have to remember that we must have this conversation about corruption. We must allow institutions to carry out their work. You know, because there's always a saying that says the guilty are always afraid.
You said that their paths might be oiled. Can you substantiate that?
No, what I'm saying is that for you to be able to speak, sometimes you wonder whether your path has been oiled. You know? Because, I mean, what incentives are you getting? What is it that you've been promised? Have you been given anything? Like, have you been promised that when we take over government, we will give you cabinet position for this thing? So you believe in that?
What Ndindi Nyoro is trying to do is unconstitutional.
It is completely unconstitutional.
Powers of the DPP.
It is completely unconstitutional. Look at Article 157 of the Constitution, which gives power to the DPP. And in that article of the Constitution, it clearly says that he cannot be directed. You know, in fact, one of the very powerful people we have in this country is the DPP. He directs the inspector of police through the DCI to carry out investigation.
Okay.
So he cannot. You look at the Constitution. Go to Article 157 of the Constitution and read it.
All right, Senator Irungu Kang'ata, speaking of sycophants, on one hand, we are seeing what the handshake was able to do, which Senator Ledama has well laid it out for us. But nevertheless, on this other side, we are seeing politicians calling each other's names and hitting out at each other. What are Kenyans and voters supposed to make out of this?
Yes, for me it's a very sad day. I'm not happy with the extreme positions people are taking. And by the way, it is turning out to be personal. I say that because like yesterday, my friend MP for Gatanga, who is a very close friend of mine, called me. I never knew that it is a Kieleweke rally. So I went there. So it is true. He's my personal friend. He told me, hey, no, he called me and told me, hey, Senator, you're my friend. I have a small fundraiser. Because he's a very good friend of mine. I went. On reaching there, when I saw the kind of people who are there, I knew now he had trouble. Immediately, a photo was taken and I was there. My friends in the other side called me, hey, Kang'ata, you're now betrayed. I felt so sad because I noted people have started now to take it very personal. The people in Tanga, the people in this other side, I think they cannot even have a meal together, particularly in our region. To me, it's a very sad affair. For me, I would want, we moderate. I would want a situation where a person has the right to associate with any other person he wishes to. I would want a situation where we don't seem to be glorifying people who are taking extreme positions, particularly in our region, because I can tell you, we may not have a country come the year 2022. And for me, the Bible says that blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. If there's a time that we need people who can bring people together, it is now. Because for me, the truth is, let's say like myself, I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I'm talking, no, people are publicly talking ill of Deputy President at a very personal level. Because for sure he is my friend, he has really assisted me once in a blue moon. On the other hand, I'm also a great supporter and friend of the President Uhuru Kenyatta. Now, reaching a situation where you are now being told, okay, look here, you have to choose. It's becoming very problematic. It's like asking a child to choose between a father and a mother, who is better? Because for us, we're in Jubilee, we joined Jubilee under the tutelage of the two gentlemen. Now, we are now heading into a very negative territory. We are being compelled now to choose. To me, I feel fairly sad. I would have wanted us to remain together.